YouTube was. Damn, hold on. This is like all kinds of fucked up. Hold on. Let's do this. YouTube was good. It's your boy. Pause Harris, aka the Crazy Uncle. Hey, if this is your first time tuning in, go ahead, hit the doggone subscribe button. Hit the notification bell every time I post up new content. So, the power. So it seems to me that the powers that shouldn't be. And yes, I am drinking. So, but it seems to me that the powers that be, or the powers that shouldn't be, have found a new way to keep the dumb masses dumbfounded more than what they already are. Now, unless you're one of the ones that you'll sit down and watch it, but you look for the bullshit, right? And for the most part, I can be like, okay, all right, I got it. You are actually really looking for the bullshit. Because anybody can be like, hey, guess what? That's bullshit. But you want to be like, well, I want to see the bullshit. So here it is, right? April 16th, the USFL, once again, is to make their debut. And for those of y'all that are actually really old enough, y'all know about how it was back in the 80s when President Trump, or former President Trump, he actually like really owned a football team back then. So, but then again, if you actually really stop and think about this, all this shit is actually like really connected. If you actually really stop and think about it, now, great fact, back then, the USFL didn't, for whatever reason, it collapsed. But then again, another former president, he owned a professional football team. I mean, football. He owned a professional baseball team. George Bush, he was the owner of the Texas Rangers. Right? So, for the most part, this is nothing new. So, if you actually really stop and think about it for a minute, these two bastards actually really follow the same path, if you will. Right? But my thing is this. My thing is not here to compare notes about what one crook did versus the other one. I'm looking at it for the simple fact that the powers that shouldn't be, right, have came up once again with a new, well, I wouldn't even call it new, but they have renewed bullshit. And if I can really stop and think about it for a minute, right, this is what these motherfuckers do. They put shit in your face, right? And then for the most part, you look at it as the norm, but then after a while, people like, okay, when you start doing this, right? And then by the time you didn't got that off of you, then here it comes some more shit, right? Hoping that you didn't forget about what type of bullshit was just put in your face, right? But they don't always necessarily put it back in your face. But then again, maybe they do, right? Because with the USFL, that fell under. Then here come NFL Europe. that fell under. And then he come Vince McMahon with the XFL, and I knew, and I, and the only reason why I feel like that didn't do what the fuck it was supposed to do, because I think a lot of people thought that some of the wrestlers was going to be out there, and that they was actually that it was going to be like motherfucking wrestlers in cleats, and then it was going to be like more than what the NFL would have actually like really allowed. And for the most part, that was really most. It was really the case, but even then, it really wasn't, or at least I feel that it wasn't what the general public was actually really looking for. They were looking for somebody to act, they was actually really looking for somebody to come out there with some chairs and shit and start bashing motherfuckers across the head, and it'd be like an all-out brawl every time that these motherfuckers played. But but like a lot of the players, the NFL saw what a lot of the players and a lot of the technology that the XFL was using, the NFL actually really now uses. So, but then again, those of us that actually really know how the song and dance go, as far as like professional sports, regardless of sport, right? We know that we know that all this shit is staged, right? But that's I didn't went back and I didn't watch videos and all that kind of stuff, and motherfuckers just say, well, hey, well, this is what the fuck you need to know, this, that, the third, and they didn't like came out with uniforms, and it's 8 teams, right? So I don't know how many games that they're actually really going to play, but my thing is this: I did a post earlier, or I asked a question earlier on the Dallas Cowboys page. And then for everybody that actually really knows what the fuck is going on with the Dallas Cowboys and Amari Cooper, they actually really talking about cutting this guy. If they haven't already cut him. And it's all about money. It's always about money, people. So they feel like, okay, well, look, if we cut this guy now, that's $20 million that we can put back we can put in our pocket, right? And then actually go out in free agency, pick up somebody, or actually like really restructure some contracts of the people that we already have. Stephen Jones already said this, right? But considering that is the USFL, April 16th, this shit is supposed to kick off, right? So I just said, well, you know what? If the Cowboys really, if indeed the Cowboys really cut Amari Cooper, where the fuck is he gonna go? Who else do you know that's actually really gonna pay this guy what the fuck he's asking for? Will he have enough about himself to ask for 20 million or more than 20 million, considering considering what the fuck just happened? He didn't want to take the COVID-19 test, which I really don't blame him, right? So he had to sit out a couple of games that the Cowboys could have won, right? And then even then, it was a lot of shit that he did in previous seasons that he really didn't show up for a lot of games, right? So for the most part, you like, okay, look, I'm paying you all this money, right? You don't show up on some games, and you actually really out there on the field, and then you don't show up for some games because of COVID-19 protocol. So I'm just like, okay, so why the fuck am I paying you all this money? Right? And then, I for the most part, I got laughed at. Right? And then everybody was like, oh, another NFL team assigned him. I'm like, okay, good luck with that. Now, if it happens, fine. But if this motherfucker crosses over, right, it's probably because, like with put like this, what the USFL did back in the 80s, 9 times out of 10, they finna do now. Now, they just had their draft a couple of days ago. So now I'm looking at it like this, right? You just had your draft. The NFL draft is April 28th through the 31st, I believe. So my whole deal is this. So let's actually really look at this for a minute, right? So let's look at, okay, out of all of the players, these college athletes that really want to get into the professional realm, right? Now they can actually really have a chance to actually really do that. But my thing is this. Is the USFL nothing more than an offshoot of what the fuck the NFL is? Because I just look at it like this. They both in the same goddamn country. One is calling themselves national. One of them, and the other one is calling themselves the motherfucking United States. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, right? Is it the United States, the motherfucking nation? Right? So, again, so who the fuck are we actually really trying to fool here? Right? Who's to say that the players that are currently on NFL squads right to this day, right? You ain't necessarily got to be a motherfucking starter. Hell, your ass could be on the motherfucking practice squad, right? And so, motherfuckers be like, hey, look, guess what? The USFL is opening back up again, right? So here's your option. You go over there, do what you do, and if you do, like, what the fuck, if you have to really, like, break out, then you can do one or two things. You can either stay in the USFL, or you can bring your ass back to the NFL and you get you a good contract, right? And then you can actually really do what the fuck you want to do. But my thing is this: these bastards on the motherfucking Cowboys page, they sit up here. Apparently, they ain't been Cowboy fans too goddamn long because they forget about where the fuck Herschel Walker come from. They forgot where Jim Kelly came from. And then you actually really got to look at motherfucking Warren Moon, right? He was up in the motherfucking Canadian League, which I'm thinking that they still play football up there. So the thing about those is to actually really get laughed at, considering if you actually really know the history of professional sports, regardless of where the fuck you playing at. You know that this shit is actually really possible. So, again, I'm just like, I mean, it's motherfucking hilarious to me if you actually really stop and think about it for a minute. And which I have. I've thought about it. I'm like, okay, these bastards, they really don't know shit about the motherfucking business. Because if they did, they wouldn't motherfucking be laughing about it. Plain and simple. So my thing is this, but then again, it's just like what I said earlier, right? Is this what the fuck? Let's just say for shits and giggles that the NFL is behind all of this. They like I say they was behind the uh the XFL, the AAF, and we already know they was part of NFL Europe. So already, and that's all what the fuck that was. And they told you back then, hey, look, these are people that we drafted, but we really ain't too sure about your ass. So guess what? We gonna send you over to motherfucking Europe, see how you do over there, and if you do real good, then we'll go ahead. We give you that. We'll give you a nice little contract, right? And then you manage your money like how the fuck you supposed to, and then you can actually really live a pretty good life. So I'm actually really thinking this is what the fuck this is. But just like with any other establishment, right? A lot of shit don't actually really last long for whatever because but a lot of motherfuckers be like, and which here's another thing too, right? Listen, it's almost like that one song that Chuck D came out right when it was right before the election, and it's titled "Bernie Got Burned," right? And so basically, it was just one rapper. He said, "Hey, look, it's almost like tasting two flavors of shit." So here's the deal: it's still shit, but it's a different flavor, or it's then came out of somebody else's ass, right? But my thing is, all of this is bullshit, right? But then even then, it's almost like, okay, you it's almost like, okay, you done ate this shit like forever and a day, right? And then here comes somebody else. Well, hey, guess what? We got a new flavor of shit for you, right? And then you taste it, and it actually really tastes better than the shit what you've been eating forever and a day. But just because you loyal, guess what? You not fit to fuck with the new shit. so, uh, so again, I know it's probably fucked up how I said it, but it's just this is what the fuck they do. And then at the end, out of all of the sports, right? You'll never hear nothing about the NBA having no separate league. But I mean, yeah, you have motherfuckers now. Again, I don't keep up with the NBA like that. But I'm just saying because motherfucker they'll do pickup games and all that kind of shit. But I'm just looking at it like this, right? The NFL did it. Major League Baseball, they do it with the minor leagues. Really ain't too sure about hockey, right? But you don't hear the shit about tennis, right? Ain't no motherfucking sub league for tennis. So you're like, okay, so what the fuck is the NFL actually really trying to do here? That's what you gotta ask yourself. So my whole deal is this: how long will the USFL renewed last? Well, it'll last for as long as the NFL will allow that shit to last. Plain and simple. Because the NFL is a brand. The NFL has been around forever and a day. And depending on, and then the commissioners down through the years, I don't know what the fuck they've been doing. They've been sucking dick, gobbling nuts, taking it up their ass. I really don't fucking know. But whatever it is, that shit has been working. Like forever and a day. Now, I don't know who the fuck the commissioner is for the USFL, but I know a lot of former coaches that coach in the NFL over there. They over in the USFL. They're over in the USFL now. So like I said, if coaches can do it, why not motherfucking players? It happened once before. So what the fuck makes you think that the shit won't happen now? So, and then let's just say for shits and giggles, because and then here's another thing too, right? Let's just say that let's just say that you got a tub full of dirty water. Meaning, after a long day's work or whatever, you all dirty up or whatever. You bring your ass home, you take a bath. You take a real good bath, get all that dirt and grime off of you, right? Rinse yourself off, dry yourself off, get out of the tub, and guess what? You got a tub full of dirty ass water, right? And depending on how good the drainage system is, the water is either going to drain real slow or it's going to drain at a regular, pretty good rate. Well, guess what? Somebody then went in and then fixed the plumbing, right? Whether, they probably went to the hardware store, got some Drano, pulled it in the motherfucking bathtub, and then the Drano went in there and did what the fuck it's supposed to do. And guess what? Now, the water is flowing a hell of a lot faster than what the fuck it was. Right? So that just means that a lot of other motherfuckers that didn't get their shot in the NFL, they will now get their shot in the USFL. Meaning that they're actually really going to become a part of the bullshit. Dropping balls on purpose, jumping off sides on purpose, doing anything and everything that what these motherfuckers in the NFL do on a daily basis. So it just means for more people to come in and do bullshit. Plain and simple. And then just know this. I'm going to be one of the motherfuckers that's watching, looking for the bullshit. Right? Because, again, it is what it is. And then, and here's what's so bad about it, right? These motherfuckers that actually really rule this shit, they run this shit, right? They gonna be like, and then again, who's to say our probably just as fucked up as everybody else? But think about doing this, right? At least I know what the fuck is going on. A lot of you bastards, y'all actually really think that this shit is actually really, it is what it is. Like, oh well, yeah, y'all be like, well, mistakes happen, okay, right? But mistakes are bound to happen just a little bit more when money is involved. So let's see what's going to happen with this new football league, right? Again, it's nothing more than to keep the dumb masses occupied longer. It's almost like, let's look at it like, okay, you being taught bullshit all year round, but you know what? Never mind, because I was about to say, well, you want to be taught bullshit all year round as far as like television goes. But you don't want to be taught all year round when it comes to education. But then again, education itself is bullshit. Right? But again, as usual, I got it. Fuck games as usual. So with that being said, tell your mama, tell your daddy, tell Big Dan, tell Big Bertha, your uncle, your auntie, your grandma, your papa, motherfucker next door, cross street, round the corner. Paulus Harris, a.k.a. Crazy Uncle. Till next time.